creativity.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
What about those videos where I've seen people making it such that a politician is saying XYZ? I mean, like, this is all virtual. Like, they could do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's going on a tangent. Why don't you tell us whether this is being used in the insurance space?
Yeah, so I think that's a very good question. And when you talk about AI, there are 3 steps to actually reaching that step.
Yep.
So the first step is actually what we call digitization, which is picking your paper from your cabinets and making them into digital form. That is something that we passed years ago. And now we are going through the motions of actually digitalization, where you're now building the customer journeys that are more efficient for a digital customer. And then most importantly for us, Charles, one of the key things that we know we will be doing is actually personalize, because the needs of Dennis are definitely different. Going to be very different from your needs. So one of the key things that you will see coming out, especially across our platforms, as you use Akiba Plus as an example, we will study your saving patterns. And through AI, we'll be able to guide you on how you can either improve, because also the beauty about it, when you're saving for your retirement, as an example, there are tax efficiencies that Kenyans don't know about. I am hired, I am supposed to contribute, let's say, for an individual pension plan. I can enjoy up to 30,000 Kenya shillings a month as a tax incentive. So for us, how AI will come into play, very critically, one is going to actually drive what we call understanding. So building what you'd call financial nuggets that we can share with the audience and our customers to be able to understand their saving journey. But also, most importantly, I think it's going to be on personalization. And you touched on something very important from a claim perspective. One of the key things that we've already started piloting on is how we can use AI to beat fraud, because that's still a very thorny issue within the insurance sector.
On that issue of claims, like, obviously we have a lot of people who have created this negative notion that the insurance companies are always, hands open whenever it's taking your premium. But when push comes to shove, when you actually find yourself in that eventuality, then it's kind of difficult for you to get your claims. So what is the process from your point? Like, first of all, address it from the difficulty standpoint, right? The challenge that people often encounter whenever they are going to claim. So can you talk a little bit about claims? Because I feel like people don't have a problem with insurance companies until it gets to that point of, okay, I've just been involved in an accident. Now my parents are ill. My house has been, in flames, and so on and so forth. But the question is, well, first of all, address that process. How do we make it more efficient and dispel any adverse notions towards the claim process in insurance? Thanks for that, Dennis. And I think one of the key things, actually, the claim experience needs to start, as you said, from actually onboarding. And in many cases, I think where we've seen challenges is where customers actually come and say, but you told me this is not covered, but it's hidden somewhere within the fine print. First of all, Isaac, do you acknowledge that that's a problem?
It is. It's still a big problem.
It's still a problem,
absolutely.
Right? You've seen a lot of people who have feel duped or swindled out of their money from insurance companies.
Correct. Yes. Yes. And I think to actually address that, one of the critical things that needs to be done is to make sure that the customer is actually purchasing a product that they are fully aware of. Right? And one of the key things that we've done is to actually do a need assessment before you actually purchase any of the Sanlam products.
Well, what do you mean a need assessment?
To get to really understand who is Dennis, what are your current risk challenges, and then position the products that might suit,
of course. Kind of customize it.
It's very customized to your needs. That is very important, because then what we get a lot of in the market is what you'd call mis-selling, where maybe you are looking for a retirement product, but we ended up giving you an educational cover as an example. So that's where I think the journey needs to begin. And then secondly, and most importantly, when you talk about digitization, Dennis, we don't need to only focus on digitizing the onboarding process. The claim experience also has to be digital end to end. And also from our end, when you look at our Akiba Plus platform as an example, When you're putting in your money, when you want to withdraw, you actually do it online. You don't need to visit any of our offices. You don't need to call anyone within the business. Everything is actually meant to be more, I would say, more efficient. And critically also, I think with as you said, emerging technologies that we have within the market, what we've seen what many underwriters are now doing is to really remove some of the exclusions that were there within the policies. I'll give you one example. Before the whole story around mental health came into being, do you know it was actually one of the key things excluded? So you might have a life cover, you decide. But these days, since it became an issue and a big issue, and it became actually it's a form of a disease, it's actually covered. So what we need to do, I think, as an industry is to also look at, of course, all these other, because where we tend to have that beta engagement with the customers is normally within those fine prints. The insurer will say this was excluded, and the customer will say, I did not see.
And you didn't inform me.
You didn't tell me well in advance.
You gotta get me on this, Isaac. And I'm gonna play a little naive right now, just so that I can get a little bit informed on this. Are you saying that, let's say someone's got autism, right? Is that something that you can insure for? The threshold of defining mental illness, how does that work? Because I just feel like that's a gray area. You can't really say, let's say, for example, myself as an example, and then I get into an accident, and then my mental faculties, or I get a brain injury. How does that work? Is there any gray areas in the scope of insurance for mental health?
So the beauty about it now, no, because I think one of the key things that was done is to actually scrap mental illness as an exclusion for many medical and life insurance policies. So right now you wouldn't get anyone actually excluding you from cover because of such incidences.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are the numbers? If you look at the numbers you're talking about in the people who've are picking up the insurance, what is the least amount of money they should pay as premium, and what is the range?
The money talk.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then one of the key things, again, as we demystify, this goes back to what you mentioned, Charles. You talk insurance, people think it's product meant for the wealthy people, but that's not the case. And again, allow me just to use this as an example because it's a very simplest form of insurance. Did you know, Charles, you can actually get a cover for less than 100 shillings a day? Yes, really? It's very possible. I mean, right now,
health cover,
life cover. For as low as 100 shillings. Just to give you an example, today we are insuring little cab drivers for as little as 80 shillings. So every time they are doing their trips, they only pay 80 shillings, and should something happen to them, they actually get cover. And one of the key things that we're really trying to break down, Charles, is the notion that insurance is expensive. It's not. It should actually be that tool that you actually use to safeguard your wealth. And that's why you'd find one of the key things also we've done, many players, especially within the investment sector, would tend to give you what you call minimum amount you need to invest. You'll see some doing 5,000, others would do 3,000. But for us, you're starting for as low as 500, right? And if you break that down, and it's 500 a month, on a daily basis, that's how much. I think you should be the mathematician here, Dennis.
Sorry, I didn't get that. See, whenever someone asks me a very conk question on mathematics, I usually...
What did you get in mathematics today?
No. Can you listen? I'm a walking calculator. Ask that question again.
Perfect. So I was actually mentioning that we've been able to reduce the minimum required for you to do investments on things like personal pension plans, as well as post-retirement medical fund, and this is as low as 500 shilling a month.
Right.
So if you actually break that down to a weekly basis, it's less than 50 shillings on a daily basis, which means then it actually makes the cover very affordable and very accessible.
And where can people get this information? Because I like what you've said, and I suppose, listen, if you're out there and you're pondering on getting good coverage, looking into investing in your future, I'd like you to reach out to Mr. Isaac. Isaac, how can people get into your portfolio, and how can they get access to what you're offering?
Yeah, so there are different journeys that we've done to ensure that customers can be able to integrate with this with ease. And what we call it an omni-channel experience. So one of the critical ways is if you're digital savvy, you can actually go to akibaplus.co.ke. You should be able to access the investments that we've been provided over there. Most importantly, I think as we discussed, one of the other key ways is to, if you're using a feature phone, by just dialing *723#, you'll get an experience to be able to also begin your journey. But also most interesting, if you're listening to Spice, so you need to you keep on tuning in to SpiceFM, because again, these are guys who are really looking at investing in your future. But also most importantly, one of the key decisions we made this year is we decided to open a TikTok channel.
Really?
So, and wow, yes, really. Yes, and for us, it goes back to what you mentioned. We really want to demystify insurance using the channels that, of course, the youthful market are currently using.
Because that's actually a really good way of reaching out to young people who do not know.
They're on Snapchat.
Yeah, they're on Snapchat watching dances, but they can also
become more active, informed in that channel.
In that space.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, I think I want us to stop it a bit there because of time. We'll come back and then we have a round of questions for Mr. Isaac Mwangi. Of course, Mr. Isaac Mwangi is the head of
gentlemen, give me some time to Google more questions.
Mr. Isaac Mwangi is the head of innovation at Sanlam Insurance, and we're talking about insurance and many other things which affect your life and why you should actually save for your future, for medical and all this, and for pensions. So listeners out there, of course, is a Spice Drive, and every single day we bring the hottest vibe in the city. And I can see most of our listeners are saying we should mark you present, and many of you have not given you a shout out. So it's time to give you a bit of shout out, of course, to many listeners out there. And I can see John Te Susie Boy, you're saying Kino well represented. Nelson Misiko, you're saying mark me present. We marked you present, Nelson Misiko. A couple of other guys here is Ngure Karaoke, Solomon Rotich, Gura Chacha, Nelson Misiko, Eric Kenene Mumanyi, Robert Niro, Rashid Onduki, Wandege, Omwami, Mark Anyole. And of course, there is Jackie, Soni, Khadija for the love messages. Thank you very much, Jackie. And of course, James, the Chester Maker. Asante sana for tuning in. Spice, easier show, easier. The drive is always for you and for everyone who is listening for Saturday, this Monday to Saturday afternoon, of course. And the other guys, Natty Brown, count me in. We see you, Natty Brown. Asante sana for listening. And of course, there are a couple of other guys there, Benson Chibuye, Florence Nekesa, Andrew Mutai, Robert Niro, and Pundo Michael Raburu. Asante sana for tuning in Spice Drive this afternoon. Let me go and check this Manu Katelwa Chebukaka watching live. Outer Mbogo family, asante sana. You're saying Hadi Mwisho and Natty Brown, you've sent a couple of other messages there. We see you, we feel you, my brother. Keep listening. This is your show. It's every day for you. And of course, the ZZ DJ, Manu Katelwa Chibuka, Lawrence Odhiambo, Sugu Caleb, Natty Brown, Frederick Ogembo, Sabiti Chaudhry, Sativa Njoroge, Kelvin, Alan B. Watt, Spencer Kemboi, Pundo Michael Raburu. We see you. Asante sana for tuning SpiceFM every single Monday to Friday, of course. So we love everything what we do here. They know.
Yeah, talk to me.
You know, before we go for news, it's always good to. I saw Isaac here love some good music, and
DJ Champs is always. He's the kind of person you can rely on to deliver
music.
Good music, not just music. Good music.
DJ Champs on the 1 and 2s. Let's roll.